All right, here we go. It is episode 14 of Dads and Ed. We are extremely excited to be here once again this evening. It is almost summertime, gentlemen. You can see by the red on my bald head that I enjoyed the sun yesterday. Kudos to my niece for graduating high school. Good for her.
Nice.
We'll get to more about that a little bit later. My name is Josh Allen, instructional tech facilitator outside of Omaha, Nebraska. Three wonderful kids. At some point, we're not going to be able to need to say that we have X number of kids because people will have been watching long enough. But in case you are been living under a rock and haven't been watching us, three wonderful kids, 6, 3, and 1. One beautiful wife. And pleased as always, if I could speak correctly, to be joined by Brent and Devin. I think I usually have Brent go first. So Devin, I'll start with you.
Well, I'll go first, but the always having me on probably isn't. I'm on about as frequently as our guests, I think. But I'm Devin Schoening. I'm a K-12 instructional technology coach in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Still moving forward, and I have two great kids, 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, both girls, Gracie and Claire. My lovely, wonderful wife, who is off teaching a college class tonight. So I'm assuming the kids can put themselves to bed. We're going to see if that works tonight or not.
That doesn't happen in my house, Brent. What about you?
I was going to say, my house is something else. You might notice my background is different. That's because if I pan over here, you see nothing but boxes now. So yeah, it's a little hectic. The wife's packing bags and boxes in the background. The kids are still awake tonight. So it could be interesting. But hey, I'm Brent from Bellevue Public Schools currently. And looking forward to the show tonight, having Tony Vincent on, who's fantastic. So I'm excited to have him talk about things he's got going on, and it's going to be awesome.
We are. This is our first. He is a dad of twins. This is our first twins show. We've of course had the single child dad. We've had the triplets in Jeff Bradbury. So we are just filling in the gap. I don't know if we know anyone who has 4 kids or higher. At least all at the same time, but
right.
We'll have to look into that.
We'll have to put that out on Twitter and find quadruplets.
Speaking of Twitter, go ahead, Brent.
No, I was just going to say, I failed to mention I got 4 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Who luckily loves packing boxes.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Well, you're off playing with your friends on Twitter and Google Hangouts.
She's watching Bachelorette as we speak, So, yeah. Like, really, you have Dads and Ed? It's Bachelorette, opening night, Yeah. I'm busy,
If you want to connect with the show or Bachelorette, you can find Bachelorette on Twitter, I'm sure. If you want to connect with Dads and Ed, at Dads and Ed, use the hashtag Dads and Ed, all one word. We're on Google Plus Dads and Ed. If you think this is the greatest show ever and want to share it with your friends after the fact, or if you miss one, you can go to dadsanded.podbean.com or subscribe in iTunes by searching Dads and Ed. And as we get ready,
It's cold. That's what I call high quality A2O.
we have such a great sound system.
We do.
Absolutely. One of the best.
Well, it's the best money can afford, that's for sure. I tweeted this out a little bit earlier. Devin found Craig Camp, who is from New Zealand, living in Singapore, head of ICT and learning innovation. Just had a baby February 27th of this year, and he put out, "Being a dad makes me a better educator." And we've had Chris McGee on the show. We've talked about how our lives have changed with having kids and being in education, and I'll go ahead and post that up again. But Devin, go ahead and give us the Cliff Notes version of the blog post.
Yeah, absolutely. The post was really about a teacher talking about his kids, really his students, and how that kind of changed when he had a child of his own, and what it means for that. And really, I think what I took away from it is kind of this idea of the care that we have for our students a lot of times, and then also the care that we have for our own kids, and how those tend to overlap, and sometimes they tend to bleed over into each other. So our family and our school family, those two things kind of merge and kind of come together. So that was kind of what I took away from it, and I totally, I totally bought into it. I think I commented on his blog, maybe or maybe not, but I was thinking about that fact that, when I was teaching, when I had kids in my classroom, I called them my kids, and then when I had kids, they were no longer my kids. They were my students, which wasn't a step down. It was just, I only have my kids. And so I even started using the language a little differently. I had a teacher who did, I remember her saying that when I was student teaching with her. She would talk about her daughter, and she would say, my kid is my kid. My students are my students, and not a bad thing, but it's kind of that idea that they somehow mix, but they stay apart. So that's kind of what I took from it.
Yeah, when I think back after I read the article too, I was like thinking to myself, I remember and kind of what I thought of that situation. I certainly looked at the kids in the school as kind of like my own kids, like you mentioned, just the terminology of stuff. But at the same time, when I had my own children, it did definitely change the way I looked at education and kids and the whole nine. So it was kind of one of those things where, for me, I read into that it changed it for him, having his daughter, and that she's this, amazing creature that he's brought into the world that now changes his look and outlook on teaching and what these kids go through and what it's like in their life. And so, yeah, those things kind of struck me the most because it's changed for me. And, all of us, children, I don't know. I'm struck by the fact that, like, it does mean a lot in the realm of all of us obviously love our kids unconditionally, and we want what's best for our kids in everything, school, everything, right? And so from that standpoint, it's just interesting to think about before what I thought and now what I think as a dad, because it was definitely different. And now I think maybe I'm more empathetic to parents and that sort of thing, whereas I maybe wasn't initially. And I mean, not that I wasn't completely empathetic, but just it's different. It just is.
And that's actually what I was going to say too. I did not. We didn't have our first kid until I was out of the classroom, and just kind of like what you said, Brent. I may have not been as understanding as what I should have been with some of those parent issues.
Right.
I just have a whole new appreciation. Even like I'm obviously in the realm of technology and social media. Like, I'm all about parent communication and all this, and I look at all the random emails and stuff that we get as parents from, like, PTO, and we have a school newsletter and a PTO newsletter and a PTO email and a classroom newsletter, and this is coming home for this, and don't forget about this day. And part of me just has a whole new appreciation for all the random crap that gets sent home. How do we, just make that better? And that's a lot more superficial than what Craig is talking about here. But it's just the whole new appreciation. And I don't know that I really fully grasped it until Maddox got to kindergarten this year. Even being out of the classroom with a younger kid, I don't know that it really hit me until this year. So I don't know.
What do you guys think? Do you think that I don't know? Do you think there are educators out there that have children that maybe don't feel the same as what Craig articulated in his blog post? Just in the realm of, I don't know. I feel like I've met educators who are parents, but yet don't have that empathy, I guess. And almost it's kind of like, well, they just look at it as like, this is a job. I mean, I've always looked at my job as a vocation. And I don't know. So it's interesting because I just wonder what you guys' take on it. What that is.
Yeah, I think there are teachers who both have kids and don't have kids that do see it as a job. And I think when you would ask kids, students, which teachers they remember, or which teachers they kind of buy into, it's going to be the ones that cared about them and that kind of treated them like their children, right? I mean, and didn't see them just as students, but had that relationship. I know that in the blog post, Craig talks about this idea that, for lots of kids, they see their teachers more than they see their parents in some cases. Yeah. And what a huge thing, he says that, as an educator, too many of us take this for granted as a rule. Before I start every day, I remind myself of how important this day is to each student that I come into contact with. And I do think that being a parent makes you more aware of those things, or at least has the potential to make you more aware of the little things like what a relationship means with a kid, what a hello means, what a being empathetic means.
And I think that's one of the things. That's who I want to send my kid to. I'm giving you to them for 8 hours a day. I have huge expectations for them, and I really think I would have been a much better teacher had I had kids when I was in the classroom, because I probably would have done a better job of maximizing that time, more than I did. I feel like I did a good job of caring about the kid and listening to the kid, but probably not as good of a job as I would have if I would have had my own kids.
Yeah, I think that the balance we've often talked about on the show in the realm of work and home life, I mean, our work and those kids we work with are kind of, it's important to us. And it's we want them to be in a good situation and feel that, especially now as a dad. I do think it has, I don't know, and especially for me with daughters, and Devin, you have daughters, and well, we all do. But, I mean, she's changed my life. And, I want to protect her. I want to know when she's at school that those teachers are protecting her. And not that I don't want them to protect my sons, because I do. But in that case, for me, too, that's a blog post I could probably write just about my daughter, let alone my sons. And so I find myself lately using the term honey with girls, because I do that with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I've even had some of the girls say, do you call me honey? And I'm like, well, it's what I call my daughter, and you're all a daughter to me, And so it really has been a situation where I think the way I feel about it is completely different than it used to be, no doubt about it. And not that I wasn't in it for the right reasons, but it has changed my outlook for sure.
And I think it makes me look at it from the other side too. So I can remember being a teacher and thinking about parents and why some of the things weren't more involved, or why I didn't hear from them. And now having kids that are school age, and knowing all the things that we get to, and between our jobs, between getting to soccer and track and gymnastics and all that stuff, that boy, it's not that hard, even for a parent who is involved, to miss some things, to not quite be as involved, even as I think as teachers we would want our best parents to be involved.
Well, and I talking to Brent's point about how it would have been a little bit different had we had kids. I was also 23 when I started teaching.
Right.
I knew everything that first year. I've gotten dumber apparently as time has gone on, but it's just I'm a lot more mature than I was then, and I have a better appreciation for what kids are going through. And to your point, Devin, and that you and your wife work during the day too. A lot of parents are working at night or working a second job or whatever, and so not only are they working, but then they're working at the time when their kid's home, and it's a never-ending battle. And I loved Brent's point earlier about the teachers that don't treat it as an 8 to 4 job are the ones that kids really remember. Mm-hmm. And on last Friday we had here in our district our Teacher of the Year awards. We call them A+, and I can't tell you what that stands for, but the elementary teacher is a literacy facilitator who's been around for 20-some years, and when you talk to her, that she cares about each and every one of those kids that she's working with, and she really wants them to love reading as much as she does. And so, those are the ones that do make a difference.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a great blog post. I know I've seen others like it. It's just kind of cool to see, Craig going through that himself. I mean, there's no better feeling than having a child and bringing them into the world, and you're responsible for them. It's daunting in one way, and then in the other way, it's so rewarding, of course. And so, as an educator, I do think it definitely changes the way you look at things in a positive way.
Yeah. So we tweeted that link out at Dads and Ed. We added Craig's Twitter account in there too, so give him a follow. I know I did the same today. I hadn't heard of him before today, so I'm excited to add to my PLN also.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Devin. You can come back next time.
Yeah, good find.
Not sure we could ever make the time work out, but he seemed to be somebody who would be open to being a guest and stuff too. But I don't know. What's the time difference between here and Singapore?
I don't know, but he's been tweeting us.
That's a good question. Josh is Googling it, I could tell. He's on the
I don't know
Google.
what time.
I'm going to Bing it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad Devin's not driving tonight, by the way, and he's hanging out. You know, so that's good. And so far, so good with Josh because he's at work. This is amazing. We haven't had, other than the kids in my background, I'm sure, and tape ripping, and yeah. So I apologize for any background noise that's coming from my side.
Mobile Dads and Ed was our moment of the year.
Yeah.
I do have to give props to my wife. I had everything planned out to do this from home with I was going to run the stream on a laptop and then join via an iPad because my wife was supposed to be going out with some friends of hers, and unbeknownst to me, she actually canceled it because she said she had just seen him recently, so she was going to, stick around at home. So I was able to sneak over here after our T-ball game tonight. So
very nice.
Actually, I was gonna say, Brent, you were talking about how you've called a couple girls honey. We have 2 girls on our T-ball team, and the other day, I told one of them, I go, "Hey, sweetheart, don't forget to take your glove out to the field." Exact same thing. That's what I'm used to calling my daughter.
Right. That's what you would have told your daughter. So.
Yeah, just because you have dirt all over your face doesn't mean I can't call you that. So. All right, Dad Moment of the Week. So this year, because I've been officially with the district for, I think it's 11 years, I got my 3rd personal day. Last week I realized I hadn't taken any of them this year. So I was able to take a personal day on Friday, beautiful day, and just take the 2 girls to the zoo. My wife, as I mentioned, our niece graduated this weekend from high school, and so my wife went over to help do some setup for that. And it was nice to just have the 2 girls. The middle child never seems to get to pick anything about what we're going to do, especially at the zoo, because the older one knows exactly where he wants to go. So it was just a nice, relaxing day. They just kind of chilled out, and they. Knowing they were going to fall asleep and knowing how much time I had to get back to pick up my son from school, I got to do a little sightseeing in the car while they fell asleep and find some parts of the area that I hadn't been to before. So it was just a nice, relaxing day. I need to do a better job of spacing those professional days out because those are pretty nice. Gotta keep those.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Well, Devin, I'll go next. That's all right. But for me, I had this amazing moment with my son Charlie. He's pushing 3, and I'm trying to think what day this was. Doesn't matter. But I was going to go out and mow. My wife was gone, or maybe she was back. I forget. Anyway, I'll just get to the moment. Sorry. And I go out to mow, and I look up, and there's like dark clouds everywhere. It's looking like it's going to rain. You can kind of see off in the distance the rain, but it's not like a full-scale rainstorm going to wipe out anything, but there's going to be some showers in the area. So sure enough, as I'm sitting there kind of trying to fire the mower up, which incidentally I couldn't get started, that's another story for another day, I then started riding around on my oldest boy's scooter with my 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old Charlie on his scooter, and we were kind of buzzing around the cul-de-sac, and it starts raining, and we just put on our jackets and hoods up and just kind of kept on going, and kind of that idea of just learning to dance in the rain and embrace it, and it was so fun. And I don't know, and I just his face and his laughs, because he doesn't talk a whole lot yet. You can make out some things, but he's kind of struggling with some of that language stuff, and his sister does all the talking for him. So it was just fun. We had so many, I don't know what he was telling me at times, but I just know he was smiling and having a great time, and I was too, and I didn't hurt myself in the situation, and it was kind of raining, and he was excited about that, and I don't know, it was just kind of a blast. And it didn't last terribly long, but because I got tired, and so I quit. But
it does that.
Yeah, so it was a great moment as a dad. I'll just never forget.
That ended up a nice story, Brent. I was really thinking at the beginning of that it was going to be a story that involved the GoPro and you crashing and
and a tornado.
I thought that was going in a completely different direction than it ended up, and ended up way too sweet and sentimental. But.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I went there today. No GoPro action in this particular case.
All right. Well, I'm gonna. Mine is if anybody that knows my youngest daughter, Claire, she's kind of a clown. And she's just an odd duck. She's our 8-year-old that loves to eat oysters on the half shell, and she eats asparagus by like the fistful, and she's just an odd duck. But I had the other night I put this on my blog post, but for Teacher Appreciation Week, I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. I got this really awesome sticky notepad thing, and Claire saw it, and she thought it was pretty funny, and so I put on my fatherhood post the other night. She asked me as we were doing this. She said we were driving home. She saw this thing. She said, "If you still have this when you die, can I have it?" So apparently, the only thing that Claire will ever get in our will is this little sticky notepad thing that says "Change for Good, Council Bluffs Community School District." So I'm going to make sure and keep this post for the day when I die. Not that I would have more than that to give her anyways, maybe, but she is only getting in my will "Change for Good, Council Bluffs Community School District" notepad. So anybody knows Claire knows that doesn't surprise any of them. It's an odd story. She's an odd girl, but that's my moment of the week.
So change for good. The change is that you're no longer there.
Well, the change is that I was no longer there, and then I'm back. So.
At least she could put a sticky note about it.
It was change for kind of good. Change and then I'm back. So. Anyways.
All right, gentlemen, we are in the presence of greatness. Tony Vincent is live with Dads and Ed. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Are you comfortably settled in your new home?
No.
Oh, sorry I brought it up. I should have DM'd that earlier.
Tomorrow is the big move-in day. The moving van decided not to leave Phoenix when I wish it would have. So, and then today was going to be the moving day, and it's not. So, I had envisioned when you guys booked me for this show, I'm like, oh, I'll be in my new house in Council Bluffs, and life will be great. But this is day 10 without a home, and we're doing okay. Tomorrow will be good.
Well, that's no good, but I'll be the first as the local Council Bluffs person to welcome you to Council Bluffs. We're glad to have you down.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a note as guest contactor next time a big event is occurring in that person's life to clarify that with them prior to asking them a question about it. I will say we moved into our house 4 years ago, and it's an extremely long story. The lady who owned the house had never lived in the house. Her brother rented it from her. He lost his business, yada, yada, yada. She decided after we had moved all our stuff out of our house that she wasn't going to sign the contract anymore because she was too sentimental. And so, like you, we spent 4 days in other places living. I did get to work from scooters one day because I ran out of clothes. The rest were stuck away in the U-Haul. So I feel your pain, my friend.
We were well planned for this. So we have clothes, we have plenty of bibs and wipes, and we're good.
Yeah,
Tony, highly smart.
Tony, you got to tell us about the family and the kids and stuff. I mean, that's the show is Dads in Education, which you are. So we'd love to know about the little ones you have. You're the first guest on the show with twins.
Yeah. So I have 17-month-old twins, a boy and a girl. And they just couldn't be cuter. Oh my gosh! Every day they just make me laugh. They're like a comedy duo, the two of them. And 17 months is I know every age is great, but they're just learning stuff every day, and that's really neat to see because I've known them since they were just before they were even people. So it's kind of fun to see that happen.
I saw you posted that video, Tony, of them, kind of what they know, like hands on your head and those sorts of things. That was cool.
Yeah, just like a couple months ago, they didn't know how to do that. But
right.
My favorite is Happy Feet, where they just
got to do a little dance.
Yeah,
that was great. I saw that.
It's a good one.
That was classic. Very cool. So are you excited to get back to Council Bluffs for family reasons too, maybe?
Yeah, so, well, my story is I taught 5th grade in Millard, and actually grew up in Millard, lived there all my life. But 6 years ago, I'm self-employed, and really I could work from anywhere. So I thought, well, I'm kind of tired of these Midwest winters and mowing, and so a lot of my work took me to Arizona. So I thought, well, I might as well live there. And so I did for 6 years, and then when my partner and I had our twins, and last summer was a really long summer because you can't really take the kids outside in 120-degree heat. No family around. All our families are from this area. It just made sense to move back. So we started having a house built back in September, and the house is done. We just don't have our stuff.
At least it's spacious right now.
It's really neat for them to be around family and cousins, because they have each other, and the 4 of us were great, but there's just something different. We've been here 10 days now, and we are staying with family, and it's been exactly the right decision. And I'll remember this, with every scoop I take of snow this winter.
That's right. Yeah,
it's definitely worth it.
We'll be sure to remind you of that when it's snowing.
Yeah, please do. I'm going to have to replay what I just said.
Yeah. And I got a brother-in-law who's got a mowing business too, so I can send him over. Just pay for that, Tony, these days.
Yeah.
So Tony, one of your latest endeavors to get to the education and technology side is an app called Stick Around that I know Brent and I have used quite a bit, and Devin as well. Talk a little bit about what Stick Around is and how that process came about.
Yeah, well, I think probably like all educators, we have ideas for apps. And I've had lots of them swirling in my head, and I kept thinking, well, if I have this idea, then somebody else is bound to have it. So just keep waiting. There's going to be an app like this that comes out. And there really wasn't, and I thought, well, maybe I should just try to make this app happen. And that was a whole process in itself to figure out, I don't know how to program. I just have ideas. And but I ended up working with Morris Cook, and they're the design studio behind Explain Everything. And that was a really good choice because they're really great people to work with. So my twins were born December 2012, and that's about the time that we expected Stick Around to come out. Like, they were both just dating at the same time. But Stick Around did not come out until their first birthday, so it took a lot longer to put together than what we thought. But I think that the time in it has really been worth it. It's an app where students can be creative but interact with specific content kind of at the same time. We call it Stick Around because you add stickers to a background, and you have to put the stickers in the right spot, and you can check it and tell if you're right or wrong, what you need to fix. And so it comes with some puzzles, like you can match some states, you put stickers where the states go, or to label parts of a cell, or you can label a ruler. But the really interesting part to me is that it's a whole platform for creating your own puzzles, so that you can draw the background, you bring in the stickers, and you can share these with other people who have Stick Around. And I know, especially with Brent, he's arranged a whole hangout with your Bellevue gang there, and those kids are doing some really amazing things with the app, which just makes me so incredibly proud.
And one of the things that I want to follow up with is what I love about it is a lot of times, the 3 of us are all, instructional tech people, and we come in and we say, oh, you should use this app to do this. And there's so many teachers that, aren't ready to make that connection on how this activity is transformed into something else. And what I love about Stick Around is it's blatantly obvious what it is that it's the activity that it's replacing. And, the ease of use and like you said, the sharing piece is just huge. So, kudos for you guys for, making it simple.
Yeah, the Google Drive aspect, has been huge for us for Google Apps for Ed, and then that ease of sharing puzzles and stuff. And, then you don't always have to feel like you have to come up with the puzzle necessarily. It could be from a colleague that made the puzzle and inspired you, and maybe you tweak it, or maybe you just use that one and kind of save yourself the time, and just know that the one your colleague made is fantastic. And we just recently too added a folder in there for the kids and their best, kind of the best of the best that they're creating, because we wanted to try to capture those as well. And so that's been a super great aspect of it that I love. And I happen to drink a little Google Kool-Aid on occasion. It's come up in the show before, Tony. So
it's in Brent's contract. We have to talk about Google.
Show.
Anyway, it's a fantastic app, and like you said, Josh, though, I think it is one of those, if teachers just see the potential of what could be done, the creativity aspect of it is phenomenal. And like I say, it can fit any curriculum, any area. It's just a matter of creating it and making it happen.
Yeah, and I think, in the classroom, the person who's doing the most work is probably doing the most learning. And so that's why I love is that we really want students to be the ones making the puzzles, because by the time they make a puzzle, they probably already know the content, which is great because that's the goal. And then at the end, they have a game that they can have somebody else play. And so, the day that my twins make puzzles and have me play it is going to be a very, very happy day for me.
In kind of more general terms, Tony, what do you think it is about the iPad that makes it such a great tool for education, and one that, some of the things that maybe other tablets haven't been able to capitalize or do, that the iPad kind of can for classrooms?
Yeah, well, if I have my app developer hat on right now, I think that it's a little easier to develop for, though I don't do the programming myself, but also that it's kind of, they have some things in place like the volume purchase program and things that really let teachers take advantage of price differences and that, because this concept, and if it keeps doing well, we'll want to put it on other platforms, but the mechanisms they have for the App Store and all that just really made sense for us as developers to start there instead of somewhere else.
Right.
As a teacher, my teacher hat and educator hat, I mean, I'd probably do more iPad workshops than anything else. Mm-hmm. And it's just really great that people can pick up and use it. Remember back in the day of having to do PowerPoint workshops for teachers when that was new, or even email workshops, and it wasn't something they could pick up and use. It took time to figure out, and here we get to really, the device kind of gets out of the way, and we get to talk about what do we want to do, and here's something that we can bring in to use it, and we don't have to spend all day learning how to use it, because it's something that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, hey Tony, changing gears a little bit, but I know you've put on your own conference down in Arizona, and I know that you're keynoting at Miami Device, which I'm thrilled to be presenting at myself in November. What do you look for in a conference, and when you're putting one on yourself? What are you excited about in the realm of Miami Device? Just anything in that realm, because we know you do quite a bit of speaking and get around, and like I said, you've held your own conferences.
Yeah, I have like a blog post that's been brewing for several years after being a conference organizer. I tell you what, first of all, it's easier to be a speaker at a conference than an organizer of it. I'd rather just come in and talk and leave. But organizing, the conference I organize is called Mobile Learning Experience, and we'll have another one in June 2015. And then the one that's in Miami Device with Felix Giacomino, who I believe is watching out there. Hi, Felix. Oh, you got your mobile bag. Awesome, Josh. You got to come up with a logo for your conference and say. So one thing that I usually put in my introduction to myself is that I'm a member of the AAAA, and that's the Anti-Acronym Association of America. So I didn't want to have a conference title that wouldn't be shortened to really an acronym. So Mobile Learning Experience, we kind of put the LE as the learning experience, so we just call it like Mobile 2015 for the next one. And then for Miami Device, I'm glad that it's Miami Device. It's a nice name, no acronyms there. I but I drove my team putting on the conference crazy trying to come up with a name because I was really insistent that we don't have anything that has an acronym. I don't want an acronym. But as far as conferences, there's little details and big details. You want to get the right speakers, and well, gosh, they got you, Brent, so they're doing something right, right?
Right, that's right. Amen.
At Miami Device. So if you look at the lineup, that conference is amazing. Like if I wasn't speaking at it, I would still go to it. It's really great, and the school and the venue is wonderful there. I think venue matters. I mean, conferences can be done, and I've certainly have spoken in cafeterias and that. With mobile learning experience, we've had some kind of really nice high-end venues, and we do that because, well, we want teachers to be treated as professionals, and we just think the teachers are definitely worth it, and they don't get a chance oftentimes to be somewhere super nice, and so that was part of it. Besides speakers and being organized, and well, recently I was at a conference where after you signed up with them, they emailed you about every other day. And that's not cool. So trying to condense those emails down and having everything everybody needs to know in one email, I think, is handy. And other details, the one thing at conferences is you want to know people's names, but the name tags are always facing the wrong direction, right? They're on a lanyard, they're always wrong. So I should have patented this years ago when we came up with it, but we have double-sided name tags. So no matter which way it's pointing, you can read the person's name.
Groundbreaking.
There you go.
It's the simple things, but go to conferences and it's still, you're looking like, oh man, I look down and there's no name there. Darn it.
Right. That's so true.
Are you? So this is an interesting thing. You know, being an EdCamp organizer, and I was at mobile learning. I've done the EdTech teacher stuff. Been to one of their iPad summits, and Miami Device is the same way. Do you see more conferences limiting the number of people they have there? Because when I was in Arizona, that was really the first conference that I'd been to that was, no, we're not having any more than, I don't remember how many there was, but it was small, but it was great. And I have really turned more towards those types of conferences versus the, super center conferences that a lot of people want to have.
Well, we've had some nice compliments where people say, if I had the choice between going to ISTE or to the Mobile Learning Conference, I'd rather go to the Mobile Learning Conference. I like the size, I like being able to see people, and so that was nice to hear because, I mean, ISTE's like a big deal, and to choose our conference over that's a big compliment. We limit the size for a few reasons, what the venue can give us, and we really believe that such a big part of a conference is when people talk. And so we provide breakfast, and we have round tables in all the rooms so that people can talk and they can have their meals together, and that. And then the other reason to limit size really is Wi-Fi. We've all been at tech conferences where Wi-Fi didn't work, and there's just too many people. So we decided, we don't want to push it. It's so important for us that people be able to get online that we even if we could have a much bigger conference, we don't want to do it if the Wi-Fi won't work.
Right. Tony, of all the the places you've been able to speak and the people you've been able to work with and teachers and all kinds of folks, if you had to give like the simplest advice you could give with so many schools going one-to-one and talking tech integration, what's the simplest advice you can give to teachers who might be a little bit concerned about moving in that direction?
I think just talking with other teachers. I'm kind of amazed that schools will have me come out and facilitate a workshop and we'd start doing some talking and sharing, and I get to know the group. Well, the people in the same building don't know what the others are doing, and they're doing some great stuff, and if they could somehow structure a way that a fourth grade teacher can show a fifth grade teacher sometime the amazing things they're doing, there's so much brilliance just in that one building, but they're not sharing.
Right.
We had a great at NETA. I think Beth Still from out in Scottsbluff. she did a session on being a connected educator, and we had a guy that was in our little group that talked about he is connected. He doesn't have a smartphone, but he's connected to the people around him. He goes and talks to the people across the hall and all that. And I think sometimes we get so social media excited that we forget that being connected isn't just about being online, but it's about just getting out of your room and talking to others.
When I was teaching 5th grade, that really came to my attention because I guess I was one of the very few teachers when I was dropping my kids off at music that I would actually walk all the way into the room with them. Most teachers would just do a drive-by and just walk them in. So while they're seated, I got to chat with the music teacher, and then I'd find out what they were doing in class. I'd tell her a few things, and it was 30 seconds, but it was some of the, she said, nobody else does this. Nobody comes in and even says hi. And she's like, I don't get to see adults very often, but I also don't really get a chance to hear what's going on in the classrooms. And so we were able to tie a lot of what we did into music and just even just saying hi to the other teachers in the building. Sometimes it isn't something that's done. It's just surprising but true.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Josh, I think to your point of just visiting with other people, I know for myself now in conferences, I'm more interested in just visiting with people sometimes than I am actually even attending sessions. And maybe that's the evolution of where I'm at within my profession, but like I would much rather just connect with people and visit, and I get more out of that. Now granted, they're going to have those teachers coming up that just need to get ramped up on things, and they're excited as all get out to go to those sessions. But I know for me personally, I'd rather just kind of connect with people I haven't seen in a while that I'd maybe interact with. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It's some great, simple things, Tony, that work. That's just the bottom line, though. They work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tony, we really appreciate your time tonight. We have a few other things to take care of. Can you stick around for a few more minutes?
Stick around, as in the app.
You like that? Yeah.
Of course I can
One
stick
on the
around.
tee.
That wasn't intentional. Don't act like it was.
If only I was that good to have came up with that on my own. All right, app side of the night. I am super excited about this. I'm totally on board with this one. Devin, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to share Voxer. As part of the work I've been doing with the iWedChat crew, we use Voxer all the time to communicate and help us kind of be in the same place at the same time, or even asynchronously if that's the case. But having that ability to kind of share verbal messages back and forth while we're working on a document, or while we're doing some other planning, or while we're on the go between one place and the other, it has been really the best way to communicate. And Voxer, for those who don't know, is kind of like a makes your phone or your device a walkie-talkie, for lack of a better term. Allows you to kind of send those messages. When we were talking the other night, the iWedChat folks and I, we were talking about Voxer, and I can't remember who they said. It might have been Joe Mazza, but who has been using it where they will record, take that back, what they get from the Vox back, and then create a podcast out of all of the Voxes, all of the audio pieces that they're collecting. So he'll send something out to the group that he works with. They'll all send something back, and he'll take all of those answers and all of those pieces and put them together into one longer audio piece or in a podcast. And it made me think, well, it's great for us for the communication that we do. It'd be really great. I had a teacher kind of ask the other day after I had mentioned it, boy, could we do something with that for our lit discussion groups? Could we extend conversation with kids about the books we're reading, using Voxer? And I said, yeah, I mean, why not? That's a great use of it. So I have been a really big fan of Voxer and using that to kind of continue our communication beyond. There will be days with the iWedChat crew that I work with, where we'll be on a Google Hangout in the morning, and then a Voxer after that. We've got the doc going where we're all collaborating, and so it's kind of nice to have all of those separate pieces that allow us to kind of continue our work.
Christina Peters introduced me to Voxer, and I am in a group for EdCamp, and we actually call it EdCamp, where it's a lot of West Coast people and a few others that basically it's just kicking around new ideas for EdCamp. You know, how are you getting more people there? What are you doing for this? What ideas do you have about this? And so that's been my introduction. And we're actually, so I'm on the NITA board, as I mentioned. As we move down to CenturyLink next year, we have a much larger space that we have to cover. And one option that we had was to we can rent walkie-talkies from them, but we've now started kind of our own little Voxer group that we can just use that to communicate back and forth. So that is, I like the EdChat idea. That is a good one.
Yeah, it's been great. I didn't know at first if I would really like the way it, kind of sending messages back and forth like that. But boy, it's so much easier than say texting. If we're out and about and doing things, it's a quick message on sending a box that way. We've just loved Voxer.
Yeah, it's nice sometimes to hear the voice too, and I've just gotten on board with it myself because I think at NITA, the Iowa iTech group that I know, some of those folks were there kind of at the conference, and they were telling me about it, like, why aren't you guys using it on the board? And I was like, didn't know about it, and it's just funny how you think you know everything out there, and of course there's like some new app or some new something going on that might help you out, and
especially with those planning teams, teams that are planning things and trying to work together to plan an event or to plan anything really. That idea where you can actually talk about it and not all have to be on a conference call at the same time has been really great.
I'm really interested about that podcast idea.
Yeah, no, that's cute. Me too. I thought that was kind of interesting, like how you pull that off.
Can I export like what I have?
See, I don't know that for sure.
We're gonna have to have Joe Mazza on.
Joe Mazza, I think it's Joe that they talked about that he's been doing it and creating kind of a podcast. So I'll check for sure and see if it was Joe. But it sounds like a pretty cool idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go to the Twitter follow. My Twitter follow is going out to Felix Giacomino, actually. I know we were kind of talking about Miami Device, and I thought it was appropriate, not only because of Miami Device, but he is the organizer of Miami Device. He's down in Miami area. So I want to say his technical position is Director of Technology. I don't know if that's exactly the title. Tony, you might know better than I. If there's something different there, correct me, please. But he is at Felix Giacomino on Twitter, which is, let me just pull up the name so I spell it right.
Just put it on the Dad's and Ed account also.
Okay, perfect. But it's at and then Felix for Felix, and then Giacomino is spelled Jacomino, and that's all together, all lowercase, Felix Giacomino. And it's been fun for me, just another Twitter follow, a person to connect with, and I'm so excited to go down to Miami Device in November, partially because it's probably going to be wickedly terrible here with snow. I'm going to go play some golf with my buddy, Mr. Badura, from Aurora, who's flying down with me as well and presenting from Nebraska. So super thrilled to just go down there, and like we mentioned earlier on the show, I mean, awesome lineup of people coming there and presenting, including, of course, our guest tonight, Tony, as a keynote speaker. And I mean, I just cannot wait to get in there and meet Felix face to face, because he just seems like, for our acceptance deal for getting accepted to present, he made a video of him on this hotel up above, with the oceanic views. And he's like, Eddie, go right over here, and here's the school. I mean, it was just like epic, and I was like, this is fantastic. So, he's up to some great stuff down there, and that's the other part of it too. So it certainly is a great Twitter follow in the realm of learning from and connecting with all the things he's got going down there at St. Episcopal School in the Miami area. So give Felix a follow, at Felix Giacomino, and I don't think you can go wrong there.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to be working with a school for the last 3 or 4 years, and the school is amazing. And I'm really excited that the conference is at that venue, because you'll get to see, they'll have kids work up and see exactly what they're doing with their one-to-one iPads that they've had for years. The neat thing with their iPads is they paired it with project-based learning. So the reason they got the iPads is so they can do more project-based learning, and they're doing great stuff. And when the rapport that Felix has with the entire faculty, and it's just such a fun time. I mean, my very favorite memory is that I went with him and a bunch of other people from the school, and they threw a baby shower for me on a boat, and we went around Miami. It was just amazing. It was
Awesome.
really good people at that school, and talk about details with a conference. I mean, if you're looking at Twitter, you can see what the name tags are going to look like for the conference. Yep. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, he's so creative, it seems like. And I just want to say Miami Device again for Mickey Mueller out there listening tonight on the show. And, that she might be a hair jealous she isn't going to be in Miami in November and up in Norfolk in a blizzard. So, hey, thanks, Mickey, for listening in, though. I sure appreciate it.
I have to say, I actually met Felix at Mobile Learning in Arizona. 2012-ish, I want to say 11, 12, something like that. And yeah, he started his first presentation. He started out with a Google Earth image of, hey, this is where my school is. These are boats in the Atlantic Ocean. Here's our PE field. We're like, yeah, it's awesome. My biggest regret from that conference is I didn't go out to supper with him that night. I need to figure out a way to make up for that. My supper was not nearly as much fun as his was, so someday I will get down there. And Felix did, and I just see Brent just retweeted it. He just posted his acceptance letter, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Best one I've ever gotten. I mean, there's just so many little things that I think he's so creative. So I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Miami Device, November. Check it out at miamidevice.Tony, help me out. Org. Yeah, yep. I think it's org. Yeah, and get yourself down there. It's gonna be epic.
All right, Tony, you need to pay attention to this one. Things to do this summer. So this is kind of like our date night segment, and with 3 kids, dates are few and far between. However, what I love about the summertime around Omaha is there is always places to go to listen to music, and they all kind of start this coming weekend. The one that I'm really interested to check out is called Bridge Beats. Many of you, well, not many of you, if you're from Omaha, you know that we have a big Bob Carey pedestrian bridge that spans the Missouri River connecting Council Bluffs and Omaha. And on the Omaha side, they have these concerts, free concerts anyone can go to. I know I don't have the schedule for the Iowa side. I know they just built a brand new amphitheater over there, which they opened with the Beach Boys. Which, if you're going to do that, then if you're going to do it big. So have the Beach Boys come, and then Shadow Lake, both Shadow Lake and Village Point, which are outdoor malls. They do kind of their own little concert series with a lot of great local bands and cover bands, and they do that all throughout the summer. I didn't put it. I tweeted out a couple links via the Dads and Ed account or the hashtag Dads and Ed. And you can check all the schedules there for those 2, and there's plenty of others. There's Jazz on the Green that happens in late July. There's a blues one. I think it's called Playing with Fire, something with fire. That's down on Lewis and Clark Landing, right along the river. So I'm excited. My kids love music. So I'm excited to get them out to some of those this year. And like Tony said, I have a 18-month-old. My youngest daughter was born in late October, about the same time as your twins, and same with us. In the heat and humidity, even up here, it's hard to get a little baby outside. So we didn't do much last year, but hopefully we'll be able to get them all out and take in some of that.
Anybody going to Three Dog Night down at the old park on the 26th, 5th?
I didn't know that Three Dog Night was coming to town.
Yeah, me either.
They will apparently be down at the what's it called, Lust Fest, which is down at the new park on the Council Bluffs side there. So the Sunday night, whatever that is, the 25th or 26th, it's a Three Dog Night and somebody else and Loverboy.
Nice.
So if you're looking for something to do the night before Memorial Day, you will find the Shonen clan there hanging out at the park.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, anything we missed?
I'm sure.
I don't think so. I know that Felix has completely confused me now on what is the right video to watch, and they're on the tweeting. He's sent off like 3 things saying correction, correction, correction. So I'm feeling kind of like Microsoft and getting attachments and, you know.
Hey, now.
Hey, I didn't bring it up, Josh. Or I did, I guess. But
You did.
yeah,
Actually,
sorry. I'm just.
No, I think we're good.
Good.
Awesome. Hey,
Tony,
Heather Callahan just tweeted, said she was listening in, checking out Voxer, and Heather's going to Miami Device as well. So I'm excited and
Interesting.
have
Oh,
some.
good.
Yep. Heather and a couple of the teachers from Grand Island Northwest are going to be there as well. So that was kind of exciting news for her and the couple teachers.
I might be the last educator in Nebraska.
Perhaps.
Actually, you know what? No, I won't be, because I won't be in town either. Ed Camp, Kansas City that weekend, gentlemen.
I know, yeah, it was a conflict for me in that sense, but sorry, Casey, I've gotta go a little further south.
If Kyle Pace is watching, I would appreciate, maybe like a 65. Last year was beautiful there. If I could get that, so I can at least rub that in to Brent and Tony, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen again.
Yeah, I'll be sure to, me and Tony take a couple selfie shots for you guys from the boats and other areas, and 70-some degree weather.
It'll be blocked for the week,
But I will admit, Casey was last year was an awesome day weather-wise at the the museum they have it at. It was really
Nelson
cool.
Atkins.
Yeah, thank you, the Nelson Atkins. It was a gorgeous day, and got to get outside and a little bit. That was cool.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, thanks again. Welcome back to the Midwest. We hope that the rental truck gets here as soon as possible so that you can get all your stuff and you guys can finally settle down.
Thanks. Yeah, it's looks like it's going to work out. We even found a babysitter for tomorrow to watch them while we unpack. So I think it's all going to work out well, and it's really nice to be back, and I love talking with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks. And Tony, we didn't mention you got to go to learninginhand.com to learn more about Stick Around. There's some great tutorial videos you have on there. Contact any of us, because I always love to connect with people about Stick Around. I think it's a fantastic app. So we really appreciate your time and visiting with us tonight. It's been awesome. And
It's been a
welcome
pleasure.
back to the area.
Thanks.
We will be back on June 2nd. We are going to start summer hours, though. We're going to do it a little bit more periodically. And once we figure out what, you think in the summertime educators are less busy, but we cannot find a day that we're actually, going to be around. So we will, June 2nd, we think that we're good on that day, but make sure to check us out at Dads and Ed, and we'll be sure to barrage you with information as it comes out. So until June 2nd, we will see everyone later.
Good night.